A true classic never goes out of style.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blood Splatter Chatter Live and Horror Fest 2023. We have a great show tonight. We're going to be talking about Bride of Chucky. Yeah, buddy. What is going on, people? Again, welcome back. We're talking Bride of Chucky tonight. We have two fantastic guests with me. To my right or your left, I've got a mirror going on. I'm not sure where he is, but he's over there, Mr. Rockin Robbie Billups. What up, brother?
Yo, what is up, station? Pop, pop, boom, everybody. Or should I say, since it's Horror Fest, pop, pop, boo.
Oh, yeah, brother. And down below me, thank you again for joining me. I had the pleasure of doing the first Child's Play with this same crew. So welcome back to Blood Splatter Chatter, Perry.
Hey, how's it going?
Hell yeah. So if you guys aren't subbed up to either of these guys' channel, they're doing all sorts of great content out there on YouTube, IG, TikTok, all over the place. The links to their channels are in the description below. So you guys in the chat, appreciate you being here. You guys watching on the rewind, appreciate you guys as well. And let's get into this thing. I'm going to start in a weird way. You guys saw this first bit of this slide before, so you might wonder, why am I showing this guy on screen? If he's not looking familiar to you, this is the barber from Child's Play 3. Remember him at all? He's like obsessed with kids' hair.
Yeah, it's at the military academy or whatever, right?
Yes. Now, he's like kind of, in a lot of ways, he's like the highlight of that movie, and he's so damn funny. And the reason why I bring him up, in the special features to Child's Play 3, Don Mancini, the creator of Chucky, the writer of this movie, and the director of a lot of the movies that come after this, he had written this character. And he's on set and he's watching Andrew Robinson, this guy, perform this character. And he's very, very over the top. And Don Mancini's walking up to him. And he's trying to explain to him, like, you don't understand. In a Chucky movie, the only character that's over the top has got to be Chucky. That's the only way that these movies work. And this dude just explained to him, like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, just trust me. And it turned out, obviously, in my opinion, to be the right move. You know what I mean? He's super funny in that movie, and it really stands out. And I look at it, this movie is now, I think, 8 years later, Bride of Chucky. Don Mancini wrote this. He learned that dude was right. Other characters in Chucky movies can be over the top. Now, fast forward to Bride of Chucky, and every character is a cartoon. Every character is over the top. So I thought it was interesting. Like, that's how we got this style. I think that dude is kind of the origin for it and led us there. So I kind of want to start with just, well, your guys' history with this movie, like when it first came out back in 98, what your thoughts on it were then. And then usually I like to hold our opinions till the end of the movie, but I think it's going to be pretty obvious. We're all fans of this movie. It's a pretty big one. And I invited you guys here purposely because you like it. So just ask me after this rewatch, or I'll ask you after this rewatch, where were you and how does it hold up? So I'll start with you, Robbie.
My history with it, first of all, is that, you know, as I said at the Child's Play review, the Child's Play was one of the first horror films I've ever been to in the theater, right? And I was like, so 1988, I'm 7 years old. I cry in the theater. I get taken out. We have to go see U2's Rattle and Hum. You know about the My Buddy doll and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't know, check out Verno's Child's Play review with this exact same crew because it's worth it. And yeah, we had to skip 2 and 3, but let's be honest. I mean, as much as I like those films, they're not Bride of Chucky. Bride of Chucky is monumental to me. Now, I watched this one in theaters, right? So 10 years later, I'm 17 now, and I'm ready to go see Bride of Chucky. And I absolutely loved it. I was the right age. I didn't get scared. The movie is super funny. I remember loving this movie when it first came out. I remember being like ridiculous with laughter when John Ritter pops out of that fucking sofa with all the nails in his head. I remember being ridiculous with laughter when Chucky's like laughing at Jennifer Tilly's character, Tiffany, for having these ambitions of marriage for the last 10 years. And he's like, you thought I was going to marry you? Like, this movie is so funny and it goes into camp, right? And Don Mancini is someone who I absolutely love and appreciate in this industry. He wrote all 7 of the Child's Play Chucky movies, right? Or some part of writing in all of those movies. The creator of this character, the creator of this franchise, he guides it now through those last few movies, starting with this one, because this is when he kind of got control of the character. And I love the what you were talking about, Andrew Robinson's character in part 3. I never made that connection, right? I just know that Don Mancini and the producer, I can't remember his name, Kurt, something like that,
David
right?
Kirshner.
David Kirshner, that's right. I knew there was a Kerr in it. You Kerr, you damned Kerr. But at that time, they were trying to revitalize this thing. They were like, we got to get away from Andy. We got to do something different. And I love that they did. This movie is so campy. It starts adding more of that like queer campiness aspect into it. Don Mancini, of course, being a gay man, he's able to lean more into his history, lean more into, his experiences and to that camp humor. And this movie is so much fun. It was fun in 1998 when I watched it in the movie theater, and I have never, ever, ever, ever in my life not had a good time watching this movie. We covered it on Dylan's Horror Show not too long ago. We did the entire franchise. It was my favorite of the franchise. It maintains that status as my favorite of this franchise. And when I watched it the other night, even though I was by myself, I had such a rip-roarious time.
Hell yeah.
This is my favorite Chucky movie, and this is what cements Chucky and the series and the franchise as iconic to me, is this film.
Hell yeah, man. I agree with everything you said. I'll just answer this real quick to Bizarro Fett. I actually just finished season 2 of Chucky, which is the lesser of the first 2 seasons, but even though it's kind of not the greatest, I still enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the first season. So, and I'm a little nervous because I feel like they're just pumping these things out. We have season 3 coming out, I think October 4th.
Yeah,
and it seems like it's a little quick turnaround on that, but either way, I'm excited about it when it comes out. What about you, Perry? Your history with Bride of Chucky, and how was it for you on the rewatch?
So I never watched the Chucky movies because major pussy. So I finally got into horror as an adult, and I've seen the first one, second one, and it was like a high. Like I just wanted more Chucky, more Chucky, more Chucky. And when I got to this one, it was actually the first Chucky movie I rewatched. So I seen it, did a reaction to it, and then I sat on the couch and I rewatched it. I thought it was great. On the rewatch now, I wanted to see how maybe I was just a little high and it was just a little extra funny, but I rewatched it. I watched the Jennifer Till commentary. I watched the director's commentary, all back to back. Like I finished it. I went replayed it with the Jennifer Tilly commentary, which if you guys haven't seen it, it's like a must. You got to watch it, dude. Her voice is
right.
Just,
well, let me just perfect, say, dude. I love that you're calling it the Jennifer Tilly.
Because
it's got Red Dourif, it's got Don Mancini, but it's just Jennifer Tilly. Yeah,
she talks over everybody, dude. She
great.
Cuts everybody off, and nobody cares. She is just like the star in that commentary. It is beautiful.
It is.
But yeah, no. On the rewatch, I thought it was great. I think I'm with Robbie. I think it might be one of the best Chucky films. But I kind of want to rewatch because I Holt and Curse. Just I don't know why I like those a lot. But yeah, no, super good movie. I enjoyed the rewatch a lot. Rewatched it not too long ago, and I'll probably keep watching it as time goes on. I heard there's a 4K too, so upgrade. I gotta upgrade this. Yeah.
I got the same set that Perry's got. I got the slip with the lenticular slip. You got that too?
Yeah, I got the slip up there. I just took it out because I was watching it today. But yeah,
nice.
So freaking good.
Yeah, I will say, just as far as that goes, quickly, the 4K, I'm not like one of those guys that feels super comfortable, but like, well, the quality of this one compared to that. But I do have both, and it looks great in 4K. And just like the reviews that I've seen other people talk about it, you guys notice watching this movie, it's like the movie is bathed in blue. You know what I mean? It's a very blue movie, which Robbie, you were talking beforehand about Ronny Yu and him being the director of Jason vs. Freddy. Very similar. Like when I think about that movie, that's a blue movie. This is a blue movie. Perfect double feature. But in the 4K, it really picks up the skin, like the colors on the skin tone much better, and it cancels out some of that blue. It keeps the blue background, but the skin colors pop like in a very noticeable way.
Yeah, whenever I watch a movie, I always try to mimic the colors in the room to go along with the aesthetic of the movie, right? Like I just had to like reconfigure my whole house for Saw, like a little bit of dim yellow in the hallway, a little bit of green over here, a little bit of pale blue over here, all that kind of stuff.
Chains in the bathroom.
Yeah, exact chains in the bathroom, blood all over the wall.
Yeah.
But when I watched Bride of Chucky, I was just like, turn all the lights blue.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So, okay, this movie, I guess the big thing about this movie, we've already mentioned her, but the addition of Jennifer Tilly, that along with the tonal change, leaning more into the dark comedy aspects of the series, which has always slightly been there, mostly, as we said before, like in the form of Chucky. The very first movie, he's making little tiny jokes and it evolves in the second and it really becomes pretty jokey in the third one. This one, the whole movie is comedic, and we're introduced to Tiffany Valentine, played by Jennifer Tilly. Find out she's an ex-girlfriend / accomplice of Charles Lee Ray, and she goes through a series of events. She kills this cop. She gets Chucky back, and she's going to end up doing a little voodoo curse on him later on. So let's just start there. Perry, I'll begin with you this time. Just what do you think of the addition of Jennifer Tilly to the Child's Play family and the character Tiffany in both forms, too? We can talk about her as herself and then as the doll version of Tiffany, just in this movie and in the franchise in general.
When the camera starts at her legs and pans up and then she slits the throat, which becomes an iconic thing moving forward, is probably one of the greatest introductions in the entire franchise. It is so like you couldn't cast a better person for this role. Like that was just made for her, on a silver platter. Fantastic. Everything, the mannerisms, the 5-inch heels, the way she walks. I was laughing in the commentary because when she was walking, the puppeteers were like, how are we going to make the doll walk like that? It's like, damn, dude, like she's got such a unique way, the way she's doing it. But they killed it with the doll version, both versions where she's burnt up later on. And then earlier on, when you first see her come into the doll form, I thought it was fantastic. Her in the trailer park and everything, just you see this whole side of her that's just, there's like depth to her instantly, and it's just like I just want more, like we need more of her. And then I'm very thankful that we do get to see more of her later on in the franchise. But yeah, no, I don't think there's a better person to be married to Charles Lee Ray.
I couldn't agree more. Like, she's the perfect casting. You hear this about a lot of different characters, but it would be hard to imagine someone else playing this role. But what about you, Robbie?
I think I pretty much the same thing. And one thing I will say is, so like, usually these kind of horror franchises, they like jump the shark, jump the gun, whatever you want to call it, like around movie 6, right? And Friday the 13th part 6, Jason lives. They're like, fuck it, he's a zombie. Lightning strikes the shovel. He's back to life, right? In Freddy part 6, they're like, let's kill him. Let's do a 3D bit where we kill him, right? Let's do all this weird shit. And part 6 of Michael Myers is the curse of Michael Myers. Let's introduce Paul Rudd to the world, but also really like do this weird stuff where he impregnated his cousin and there's a cult and it is just like dumb, right? Before we ever got to that part where Chucky is just a franchise that's dying and they have to do something stupid, Don Mancini has the wherewithal, the understanding to be like, we got to reinvigorate this. We got to make something out of this. How do you do it? By introducing another character, by understanding that the Andy story is over. Alex Vincent, sorry. I love the dude. I love the character. Not a great actor at all. Like even in the Chucky series, he's just kind of, he's not the way to go. It's not the dynamic between Chucky and Alex that made those movies work. It's Chucky himself. So let's create another character that will be on par with Chucky, and to be honest, in my opinion, outshines Chucky in this movie. Jennifer Tilly was so hot back in the day. She's still hot, by the way. I'd still do it. You know what I'm saying? I'd still slap the shit out of that. But she was a hot actor at the time. She was very in, right? Academy Award nominated, bound with Jenna, what's her name? Gershon or something like that. And Jenna's the one who convinced her to take this role, right? Dude, she owns it. It's that iconic voice, that iconic performance, those iconic legs, those iconic tits, just everything about it works so well. Tiffany is a great character. We finally have somebody that can bring out more of the humor of Chucky and make it less mean-spirited and a little bit more fun. And dude, this franchise elevated itself with Jennifer Tilly, and Don Mancini had Jennifer in mind when he wrote the script. And I can't imagine this movie with anybody else. If you put any other actress from that time that was an in actress, it would not have worked. Jennifer Tilly made this, and to me, the performance of her life, bro.
Right. I know. Well, here's the thing. You might know better than me. What was the movie? I think you just said it, actually. She was nominated for an Oscar. I kept meaning to look this up.
Bound. The Wachowskis film.
So, like, I think of her, I was really only knew her after this movie. So, like, I think of her as Tiffany, the bride of Chucky. Like, I see Liar, Liar. I'm like, oh, shit, she was in that.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to, like, get an idea of what her reputation was as an actress in Hollywood at the time. Oscar nominated. That's what you hear about her. Like, you think she's this very respected actress. It's surprising to me that she took this role. And then what I wonder is this role, it made her iconic and a role that's going to last forever. But wonder what her career would have been without this. You know what I mean? Was she the type of actress that would have went on to do great things?
She'd be in A24 films right now, Verno. Right? She'd be an Academy Award winning actress in A24 films, just the darling of cinema. But nah, she stayed true to her roots, man. The schlocky, campy roots, man. And she means so much to the horror community and to the queer community in particular, like because of this movie and like straight up.
No, I couldn't agree more. Well said. That's what I was just wondering, like watching her in this new TV show. She's playing that. She seems to be having fun. She seems to have totally taken ownership of this role. But I'm like, I wonder if this was actually the best thing for her career, depending on what she wanted to do, other than just to be a horror icon. You know what I mean? But as we've said, what she really does in a lot of ways, she introduces this new character to this franchise. And in this movie, she brings back Chucky. But what she does for Chucky's character, I think, is almost even more interesting, is to give him a wife, to give him someone to bounce off of and relate to, which allows us to relate to Chucky. So that, for me, that's why, plus with the look, and because of all that, that's why this is, for me, like my favorite version of Chucky. So let's get into him real quick before we get into the kills and everything that goes down with these two. But like, what do you just think of the way like Chucky has evolved from where he was in one to the way that he's used in this movie? I'll start with you this time, Robbie.
Well, the biggest thing to me is that the first three movies, the Child's Play films, right? They all take it so seriously outside of Charles Lee Ray, right? Outside of Chucky, everybody else is so straight edged. So they're just taking everything so seriously. So it almost makes his humor come across as mean spirited, right? But with Tiffany there, we now have this comedic back and forth. We got the whole, like, they're playing on the honeymooners thing. I cook all day and you can't even wash a damn dish. And when the other characters, they're not the main characters, by the way. Chucky and Tiff are the main characters. Right. But when the other characters are like playing them against each other, and it's just so freaking funny. And it kind of like what the intention of what Harley Quinn was supposed to do with the Joker for the animated series. This is a kid's show. We can't have this like psychotic clown running around. We got to like tame this down a little bit. Let's bring in Harley. And it's almost like that. But I'll be honest, Tiffany is so much more than Harley Quinn could ever hope to be, in my opinion, because she is truly when you watch this movie, you don't just feel like she's Chucky's equal. She's almost like better than Chucky, because she's got like a more well-rounded character. She's sexier than Brad Dourif is. No offense to Brad. I think he's amazing, right? But she elevates this character. But at the same time, what Brad Dourif is able to do with Chucky in this film, playing off of Tiffany and being able to deliver lines in a more comedic way and less of a sinister, over the top. Like, we're not losing our minds now because he's calling Andy's mom a bitch. You fucking bitch, you fucking slut, I'll kill you. Like, there's an element of a killer doll movie that comes across as cheesy no matter how you do it. Right. You got to lean into it the right way. And Don Mancini and Jennifer Tilly and Brad Dourif lean into it the right way. It elevates Chucky to me in this movie. It makes him more iconic. It makes those lines really work because he has somebody to play off against, and an iconic voice Brad Dourif has. Like, I absolutely love it. I've never seen his tits. He may have iconic tits as well. Hopefully he has an iconic something down there. I don't know. That's up to him. But that voice is iconic and it works. And having Jennifer Tilly and the character of Tiffany to play off of elevates Chucky to a way where we're able to root for him finally. That's something that was lost in the first 3 Child's Play films is they want you to root for Andy. They want you to root for Christina Lisa's character. What was her character's name?
Oh, I forget.
I don't even remember
guy's
now.
name. I want to say Tyler, but that's not it.
It's the guy's name. Is it Alex or something? I don't even know what it is, but they want you to root for them. They want you to root for the mom. They want you to root in the first movie for Chris Sarandon. Who gives a shit about Chris Sarandon in the first movie? We want more Chucky. We get more Chucky because of Tiffany, and Brad Dourif raises that performance, and that level that was attained here is what continues throughout the rest of the film series and the TV series.
Right, man. Yeah, you mentioning them playing off each other. I guess this is like the technology had just caught up to the recording process at this point. Previously, you couldn't be in the same room or in the same, they couldn't record at the same time. But this was one of the first movies done at Universal where you had the 2 actors in the studio actually being able to play off each other. And their iconic scene later on where they're having sex and he's like, "Do you have a rubber? Tiff, I'm all rubber." Like that was them in the studio just playing around. Like
I thought you said you were plastic.
Yeah. They're like,
and then he just goes, "Kiss me." How many times has that happened in our lives?
But what up to Nick in the house? Nick, you guys will be seeing his sexy face here. Sexy face, and let's admit it, sexy hair, only to be competed with Rockin Robbie Billups in a couple
weeks. You got to see this dude's chest in real life, Verno. You got to see Nick's chest in real life, bro.
You have iconic tits?
Dude, he's got iconic tits and shoulders, man. It's nice. I can't wait to see him Saturday, brother. It's going to happen. I'm excited.
Hell yeah. Well, just to take us back where we were, Perry, what do you think about just the role of Chucky in this movie, or just the way that he's evolved and even his look? Anything you want to comment on Charles Lee Ray in this one?
I love the look. The stitches looks badass. You know, he gets to smoke some weed. You know, who doesn't love that in a fucking van? And then him proposing, I thought was just like the chef's kiss, because he's just like, holy shit, I fucking love this woman. You know, like she just did the coolest scene ever, dude. You know, I thought that was fantastic how he just went down and you see him pick up the finger and pull the thing off, and then, you know, like so cool, man. I think Robbie,
my favorite bit in the whole movie. Favorite bit in the whole movie when he turns around and bites it off and how proud he is afterwards.
Yeah.
So good.
But yeah, no, I think Robbie had the nail on the head. They really bounce off each other. I really like the story with the other kind of protagonist, the teenage couple that they're trying to get hitched and stuff, and they finally get married, and then they end up winning and everything. But the show is 100% Chucky and this chick and their engagement together. And then, you know, I'm all rubber, and then out comes a baby. So you know, that didn't work out too well, huh?
You get a nice ass shot of Tiffany in this one too, man. I love it.
All right, and that's so funny. It's panning down, a little ass crack, and it's oddly erotic. You're like, hold on, dim the lights, hit the slow mo. All right, well, I'm glad that. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, do you have more, brother?
Oh, no, I'm good.
All right, I'm glad you brought up these folks here. I never did pick up the other guy's name, but the female character Jade is played by Katherine Heigl. I think is how you pronounce her name. She becomes a pretty famous actress, but it's kind of interesting watching the commentaries, as you guys, or Perry, you said you did too. They never mention Katherine Heigl's name. They never mention any of the actors' name. They only refer to them as the actors. Like they are a total side note. If you watch the Ronny Yu commentary, it's all about the dolls. If you did a shot every time he says dolls, you'd be so fucked up, because that's what the whole set was about. The whole movie is based on that. And I'll say personally, I really love the story, actually. Like, I'm not saying I'm wrapped up in the love story, but every time I watch this movie, I forget how it's going to end up playing out, where there's all these misunderstandings. Tiffany and Chucky are killing a bunch of people, and these guys are getting the blame for it. We've got Jesse thinking Jade did it. Jade thinks Jesse's a serial killer, and they're all worried about each other, which a lot of times in movies, that could be my pet peeve. If the whole movie is based on misunderstandings it drives me nuts. But when it's done right in a romantic comedy or horror / romantic comedy, it does work for me. But I assume, like you just said, they're not like the highlight of the movie for you either, Robbie. But what do you think of those two's characters, but just like also that part of the story?
They are more than serviceable.
Right.
They're only there to just be like what they're like you said, like in the commentary, it's obvious. Like Don, Ronnie, Jennifer, Brad, they don't care about Katherine Heigl or Heigl, whatever her fucking name is. She was in like 27 dresses. She was in Knocked Up, right? She's like a big name now, I think, right?
Yeah.
Like they're just there to make the Muggles feel like this is a real movie, right? Like we're supposed to be into their story. I'm barely into their story, but their story's not annoying. It's not obnoxious. It's not like some of the Friday the 13th movies where you're like, oh, I hate these two. Like, can we just like get back to Jason? And this one, you really feel like when they get to them, you don't care because they're authentic. This is a post-Scream Chucky movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And out of all of the post-Scream horror films of the 90s, this is the one that gets it. It understands what worked in Scream and what worked in the 80s and how to make that something that will actually transcend into 2023, where random YouTubers are going to be gathering to talk about it here on YouTube, on this platform. They're okay. I'm not that into their story. I think Katherine is gorgeous. I think the what's his name? It's Nick Stabile.
He's better looking than her.
He is. Dude, that scene when Jennifer Tilly's got the trunk pulled up and she's all like, hey, what you doing tonight? And he's like, I'm like, bruh, you and her, you're like, first of all, if I'm that dude, I'm like, whatever you want, Tiffany. Like, I am here. I'll lift this trunk up. Let's go get some dinner. Let's go to Taco Bell. Let's go to the drive-in. Let's fuck. Like that's what I'm there for, right? Whether I'm Jennifer or fucking this dude, right? Like it's gonna work that way. But what really elevates it are the other characters. John Ritter in this fucking movie. You mentioned all the miscommunication, all the happenstance stuff, all that randomness. That's an episode of Three's Company.
Right.
And John Ritter's here, and John Ritter's not like,
that's a good point, dude.
He's not doing anything super extra, but he's playing that role so freaking well. And like I said, it's camp, right? And they're playing into that. Child's Play 1, 2, and 3 do not play into camp whatsoever. The rest of the franchise does. And I actually think that Bride and Seed are better than 1, 2, and 3. That's just my personal opinion. I think it's more of a clear vision. I think they understand where this character is going, how to evolutionize this character. Evolutionize is not a word, but it
felt
is now.
Good. When you said it,
it is now, man.
Write that one down.
I don't care about those characters, but it's the other characters. The gay friend, like I'm into that character. And when he first showed up, I was watching this movie the other night, and I was like, bro, I never thought 1998 would look so dated. But it looks so dated. His hair, their fucking outfits, everything about it is so of the time, which has a little bit of a nostalgic factor to me. But Katherine and the other dude, who I already forgot, I just looked it up, forgot his name again. But like, nice fucking abs, dude. Like, yeah, they do what they need to do, and they don't do it as shitty as other characters that are forgettable in these kind of slasher films do. But it's the side characters. Needle Nose, that guy is fucking hilarious for some reason, and it's the way that all works. It actually supports what Brad and Jennifer are doing in this film for me.
Right, man. Hell yeah, dude. You said it perfectly. They're more than serviceable. There's nothing annoying about them. I'm never like wishing that they weren't on screen. And yeah, but I'm not like invested in their love story. I think if there was maybe the same actors could have made me be invested in a love story. I just don't think there was enough attention paid to that part of it. There was too much going on to really get into that. But what I do love is the way that I was going to say parallel relationships, but it's almost like whatever the opposite of parallel is. At the beginning of the movie, Jesse and Jade are madly in love, and Chucky and Tiffany are at odds. Yeah. And as the movie goes on, it kind of goes vice versa, where we get to the point where Chucky and Tiffany are getting married. The other two are trying to kill each other. But let's just begin with you, Mr. Perry, into the most fun part of the movie. I was telling you ahead of time, for those that have been watching previous episodes that I've been doing recently, I like to clip out little parts like, oh, we're going to play this kill scene. I didn't do that for this movie because these kill scenes they're like a unique brand of slasher kill scene where they're like minute and a half, 2 minute, 3-4 minute long events that really get drawn out. And they're more about the spectacle of the visuals of these scenes. But let's get into that. In this chunk of the movie, we get a handful of kills. So I'll begin with you, Perry. What is your favorite kill in
I
Bride
gotta
of Chucky?
say, it's like a toss up in the air right now between the first kill because it's so iconic, and then we see it later on, and it really pulls you in right from the start. But when Chucky kills her in the bathtub, like that's just almost perfect. And then you see the TV with the Bride of Frankenstein, and she's screaming on the TV, and Jennifer's screaming as she's going underneath the water. And it's so perfect the way it's done. It's flawless, dude. I love that kill. I think it's great. And then we see her spirit go into the doll right there. Boom. It's like magic happening, or I guess voodoo in a way. So yeah, no, that scene for me, 100%.
When I like to like sometimes just run this experiment, just like I'll have my fiance just like throw a movie at me or whatever. And I just want to know like what's the first picture to come into my mind. And to me, like that's a really important thing about movies, to get these iconic visual moments that stick with you. First thing to pop in my mind for Bride of Chucky is Chucky standing like this with the bubbles floating above him. And it's just as perfect. It really is a good kill for Tiffany's character that I'm just thinking about now. It's just really elegant, beautiful, brightly colored and shiny kill scene that is perfect. It matches Tiffany Valentine's character perfectly. So great one. What about you, Robbie? What's your favorite kill in the movie?
Well, I really like the one that Perry pointed out, especially because she's watching Bride of Frankenstein at the moment, right? And there's the moment where the TV pops up and you hear the bride screaming, right? And she's screaming and the bubbles and everything. You're right. Like when I was thinking about this question, I didn't even think about that one, but that one's really good. But the one I really like is when Tiffany kills those motherfuckers in the honeymoon bed, bruh. Because you get like, first of all, it's a very creative kill.
Yeah.
It's very bloody. There's the water bed. There's the blood that's coming out. It's reminiscent of like Nightmare on Elm Street or some shit like that where Johnny Depp gets killed. Not quite as over the top, but it is over the top and it's beautiful. And there's that moment when the glass is falling and Chucky's just falling in love again. You know what I'm saying? He's just like falling in love again. I love that one so much. I love John Ritter with the nails in his head. And then there's a moment where Chucky or somebody says, that looks familiar to me. Yeah, Pinhead. I get it. Yeah. That's hilarious. At this point, Dimension had gotten all these rights to these films. And I think they were gearing up, like, hopefully we can work with Universal and we can like put something together, right? Because there's a Michael reference, there's a Jason reference, there's a Freddy reference, right? There's a Leatherface reference, and there's a Pinhead reference. So I like the self-referential nature of it, but also when dude gets killed because he just freaks out and jumps out of the fucking van, and just the truck I remember watching that in theaters. And nowadays we're so used to stuff like that, but in 1998 I had never seen anything that abrupt or sudden or just gnarly in a movie. And I was just like, I remember going, ha! And I was like the only person laughing in the theater at 17 years old. But number one, it's the waterbed kill with the glass breaking down. And don't they mirror that in another movie? No pun intended. I think they mirror that in another film.
in the hospital.
Yes.
In the hospital, they do it. And then you see the snowflakes coming down and stuff when they tied them up. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. You know what's funny? As you guys are sitting here going through them, I'm sitting here like, fuck yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't really think of one. Because there's not too many kills in this movie.
I think 12.
There's those two. Is there 12?
I think there's 12. Yeah, I was watching a kill count. Yeah, wow. I wanted to see all the ones. Yeah, I think they counted them up as 12, including Chucky's death at the end. And that old
right. I guess I've probably missed a handful. There's the cop that gets blown up. There's Jennifer Tilly killing the cop at the beginning. A lot of cops getting killed in this. John Ritter's a cop. He doesn't make it. But I will just say what I was going to say is the first kill, but I guess it's the first Chucky kill. Right after he gets his reveal, where this got pointed out during the commentary. And I'm like, that is interesting. This is the second time that Don Mancini has written a scene that involves Chucky in a S&M style bondage situation on a bed with another person. He did it in Child's Play 2, where he's Andy's tied up. Thankfully, him being a 7-year-old or 8-year-old kid is not nearly as sexual, but
no,
it is
no
something to think
tribal
about.
tattoos, no leather.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm glad I thought of this, dude. That guy, I think his character's name is Alexis. They originally wanted Marilyn Manson for the role. They tried to get Marilyn Manson to play
Could you
that role.
imagine?
He was tempted to do it, but ended up turning it down. And then they got this dude, and they're like, "Well, let's
It's
just make
Alexis
him."
Arquette, right?
Yeah, yep.
Is he connected to Patricia or David Arquette in any way? Do we know that?
I'm not sure. I'm really
I'm
curious
gonna
about
look
it.
that up now, man.
But yeah, they pretty much just had him like act just like Marilyn Manson would. But thank God, because I think this dude is fantastic in the movie, and there's no way that Marilyn Manson would have been this good. But just the way Chucky, he gets
Oh.
the reveal, he does the head spin. The guy's sitting there talking shit. Go on, Robbie.
Well, I just looked up Alexis Arquette, transitioned now a
Mhm.
she, and she is actually siblings with David Arquette and Patricia Arquette. So she is a sibling. That's interesting. That's very interesting, actually.
Yeah, no, I thought it was too. But
I totally get the Marilyn Manson vibes.
oh
Like,
yeah, totally.
100%,
Especially
man.
back in 1998. Like it's one of those things that's kind of interesting. Like watching this movie back then, this dude's character would have stood out to be much more like freaky and counterculture. And now he just looks like the type of person you might see at Walmart. You know what I mean? It's not nearly as shocking. It's become much more normalized. But yeah, his death is great. I think actually my favorite bit about it, and it tells a lot about Tiffany's character, the way that she just goes and sleeps in bed with him after he's dead and tied up. It just like makes her seem a little bit more freaky. But before we move on, do
My
you guys
favorite
have
bit
any?
about that, real quick. I'm so sorry, Verna, but my favorite bit about that is when she like scoots him over when she's in there crying. She like scoots him over,
Yeah.
like she's upset that he's hogging the bed. This motherfucker's dead.
Before we move on, do you guys have any other like just moments or even bits or any other bits like that you'd like to point out?
I would like to touch back on that bit where Tiffany has saved this ring for 10 years. First of all, the timeline of these films. The timeline in Child's Play 3 takes place in 1998. Even though it was made in like 92 or 3 or something like that, it takes place in 98 because they up age the character of Andy, right?
Mm.
Oh,
And
I never noticed. I never
so
knew. I mean,
this
I know they
movie-
upaged him, but I didn't know they changed the
Yeah,
time.
but-
They made it right.
Yeah, but Bride is actually taking place at this exact time, right? Like 1998. So like, even though Bride of Chucky is 10 years at, or not 10 years, but it's like a few, like 8 years or 6 years after Child's Play 3, it is still like in the same year. So they're hitting the same timeline. And apparently in the timeline, Seed of Chucky doesn't take place too far either. So even though the movies take place or happen a few years later, they actually take place within a few weeks from that point on, which is an interesting bit that I really thought was fascinating that I wanted to share.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. Well, man, I guess the other bit worth pointing out, we've already touched on it, but I do just love this. Like I love the whole thing, the way we've already touched on it, but the way that they are falling in love with each other because they're so impressed with the way each other's killing. The fact that right after that champagne into the mirror is when Chucky just realizes, like, I love you. He's like, I want to rip this finger off this corpse and give it to you. But the movie moves on. We get this moment that you talked about earlier. Dave shows up. And let me just say, I never realized, and anybody in the chat, somebody help me out and tell me that they are with me. I never realized this dude was gay until very, very recently. Back in 1998, all that shit went over my head. And I watch it now, and it could not be any more.
It's 10 minutes, right? Because that's
They
the
don't-
whole bit. Like
they never
he's
say
introduced
it.
as the new boyfriend. No, she introduces him as the new boyfriend, and then she goes, "Don't you remember? Didn't you date? What's his name?" He goes, "Yeah, just for a little bit, but I don't want to rehash that."
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I caught that now. But all the
Yeah.
shit before about just him being into flowers and just all the
I
gay
think
stuff and
Jennifer
whatnot.
Tilly helped Don Mancini kind of come out of his shell. I think he even has stated in interviews that like Jennifer Tilly bringing in that like level of camp helped him kind of like be able to put more of himself into the movies. And if you watch it from this point forward, you cannot tell me that this is not like a queer horror franchise.
Oh,
you know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Like there's a transgender character. Chucky and Tiffany's kid is like a transgender character. And we're talking about 2004 when that movie came out, right? Way before a lot of these conversations were started up, right? Which I think is absolutely brilliant, profound, and such a good thing for Don Mancini creatively, because it really helped elevate Chucky season 1 in particular. Because Chucky season 1, and I heard this from Christina Elise when I met her a couple years ago. She played Kyle, by the way. I just remember that. Kyle.
I knew it was a guy's name. What did I say? Tyler? Close enough.
Yeah, I said Alex because but it's 4 letters. I had it. But she was even telling me, like, a lot of Chucky season 1 is based on Don's actual childhood, like his father, his school. And I know a lot of that comes through in part 2 with the Catholic school stuff, but part 2 is a little thing. But the other bit I remember now I wanted to say was when Tiffany's been holding this ring for so long, for 10 years since Charles Lee Ray died. We're talking about the first Child's Play movie, right? She's been holding on to this ring. And he's like, oh, that ring belonged to what's her name? Remember we killed her? And when he finds out that she thought she was like, he wanted to marry her, and he just laughs.
Right.
Like, oh my God. It's so wrong, but it's so funny, man. So funny.
Let me just point out, thank you, Chill Out, man. You make me feel a little better. He says he didn't realize the dude was gay until he found out on a YouTube video. So maybe someone out there watching this YouTube video is just finding out that David is indeed gay. I think it stands out to me more now that I've learned a lot more about Don Mancini. So I'm more like aware of shit like that. But I did want to mention before we move on, like when we did the Child's Play 1 episode, Robbie, you had mentioned that before. You're like, I think Bride and Seed are my favorite. And I remember at the time being like, Robbie smokes crack. I didn't know Robbie smoked crack. He loves Seed. Because I remember
smoking, but not crack, my man.
I'm just joking.
Don't knock it. Yeah.
I watched it a couple days ago, and I'm like, you know what? It's a lot better than I thought it was back in 2004. And I think it is a lot of what you were saying. It was way ahead of its time when it comes to the whole gender identity stuff. Like, you know what I mean? There was a lot of ideas that they were playing around with that I thought just seemed out of left field, but now it's like, oh, this is much more relevant than I ever realized. And plus, not that it's relevant, I have a better understanding of it now in 2023 than I did back then. So it makes it a more understandable movie where the direction that they went.
It's interesting that the movie starts playing with identity when the franchise finds its identity. Because I know we love the first 3 films. I love the first 3 films as well. Right? I really do. Because 2 ends in the toy factory, right?
Yeah.
That's great.
This is one of my favorites, dude.
I love that when I was a kid. I just watched it on VHS, right? I never saw 2 and 3 in theaters after the events of 1, but in part 3, where he's older and all this kind of stuff, I loved him. I love that kid. That kid played Jimmy Olsen in the Lois and Clark TV series or something like that. But and he was in what's the movie? My mom, Serial Mom.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Oh my God. Serial Mom's one we need to cover here someday, yeah. Right? That's perfect.
I legit just put it on the list a couple weeks ago.
Oh, nice. But as this movie is finding its identity, it's talking about those kind of themes. And as much as we love those first 3 films, the identity of the entire franchise, if you look at all of it, including the series, it really starts with Bride.
No, yeah, it makes sense to me. I mean, especially after it. I mean, this is the type of movies that they make going forward. I feel like, because I just watched it's Curse, right? That's the one that comes after Seed in 2013. I feel like in that one, they pulled back on the camp and to some degree, and they did try to insert more classic horror into it. You know what I mean? It's less campy than this, and it's less campy than Seed. And
it's Cult, right? I think and I never really liked Cult, like Curse and Cult. I've only seen them one time each, right? And now after watching the show, I think I'm more down for those movies.
That was my thought watching Curse. Is like, oh, this feels like the show. Like it's just got those low budget vibes too that the show has.
I'll be meeting Fiona, by the way, in a month, and I'm so excited.
Oh yeah,
that's badass. All right, so I wish I had more slides for this bit because there's so many good visuals, but this is all I got, man. So this is our Tiffany look at the end of the movie. She gets thrown into an oven inside of an RV. Chucky gets shot out the window. He's firing bullets, and they end up at the gravesite of Charles Lee Ray, because that's one of the plot elements that they throw in here is that he was buried wearing an amulet that can put him into another body, which is like, well, that's kind of funny. Why didn't he think of that in the first 3 movies? But whatever, let's roll with it. But I really enjoy the ending, especially just visually. But what about you, Perry? What are your thoughts on the end of this flick?
I like the ending. I feel like, just to touch back on the other 2 characters from the chick from Knocked Up and stuff, they really drove the plot forward because they're the reason why Chucky and Tiff are even able to get that far, because they're pretty far away. So I feel like they serve the key purpose in that aspect.
They along with Tiff and Chuck, like they make it a road film.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is another element of the film that is really cool. And then the parallel stories of the weddings.
Yeah.
Well,
young love versus psychotic love.
Tiff's like, she has like a moral compass almost, because she's like, you're not gonna cheat and look at you kill these thieving bitches. Like I like that aspect of Tiff.
Me too, dude.
But I really like the ending. I like when she gives birth. I don't like when they walk off into the freaking sunset. Not cool. I think they should have died at the end. I'm surprised. I'm surprised that freaking in the TV show Chucky hasn't come back and killed them yet.
Perry's become a true horror film fan. He's like, they should have died. If they're not going to be used again, they should have died.
At least
imagine if Chucky season 3 starts with Chucky.
That'd be
showing
fantastic.
That would be
I was seeing a theory where what if they walked off, and since that cop died, maybe they blamed them for the cop and everybody else's murder, and then they're in a mental institution with the mom, and then Chucky just takes all 3 of them out. Yeah, that would be a great season 3. Dude.
There's no reason why, by the way, the cops should not still be after them.
Yeah.
Right. That one cop's like, I believe you now. He probably dies of a heart attack the next day because he's so old, right?
It's so funny the way he's like, you guys just go ahead and go home. I'm not going to run this by anybody. Just go ahead. You're fine.
Just leave, guys.
I'm going to tell him you didn't do it. Policing was way different back in the 90s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But yeah, no, I like the amulet aspect. It gave them a purpose in the movie, like some type of direction. And yeah, no, I think it ended well with that child jumping out at the end. I just, holy smokes, like what the hell was I even watching, dude? And then just the cut to black is just like, all right, perfect. Give me more. I want the next movie, which I think I did watch it the next day. The next movie, I was like, hell yeah. Which I'm kind of happy I didn't watch these when they were coming out. I got to sit down and just binge these things.
You would have had to wait 6 years for that movie, man.
Screw that, Like MCU, I waited 12 years and then I got it done, It's like, you got to do it.
Which, by the way, you got me thinking, they're all on Peacock right now. I don't know about all of them, but the majority of these are on Peacock. So if you got Peacock, you can check them all out. What about you, Robbie?
Peacock? I'm sorry.
Yeah, dude, the show is driving me nuts.
Season 2.
Yeah, okay. The show, the first season, they put, like, Sci-Fi was putting it out.
Yeah.
And then right afterwards, they put it all on Peacock. So I was like, hell yeah. Season 2, I kept expecting them to, but they waited until like a couple weeks ago. They just dropped season 2 on Peacock. And season 3 is coming out, I think, just on Sci-Fi. But if it's like what they did with season 2, they'll release the first couple episodes on YouTube like the following day. So I'll probably end up just waiting until it comes out on Peacock again.
Because the show is so good, but they just like a disaster the way they're releasing it. And then like when season 1 came out, I paid like $50 just to watch the first season because I couldn't find it anywhere. I'm like, what is going on? And then the first episode was free on YouTube for like 6 months. I was like, what the heck? Ridiculous.
It's rough. That's something that happens with a lot of shows nowadays, is like because of the era of streaming, you gotta get your product in front of people if you want to sell it. You got to. And I know a lot of people that didn't. I had trouble watching Chucky season 2, but yeah.
Right. Well, it's one of those things, like, I don't want to go ahead and pay for it. I'm certainly not going to just pay for Sci-Fi. Like, what is it? You got to have an app? Is it like Paramount Plus or something? Am I paying $5 a month for Sci-Fi? I don't think so.
They wanted me to pay for like live TV, which was like $50-$60 for the month. And I'm like, no way, dude. That's why I cut the cord. I think it was through Hulu. Yeah.
Right.
Or
meanwhile,
Sling,
all those
like
suckers that still have cable are like, you suckers can't watch Chucky season 2, but we can.
Yeah. No, me and my fiance, we went and got like a handful of months ago. Like, we're getting cable. Let's do it. We went and got it, canceled it the next day. But
we're gonna be retro.
Yeah, I thought so. I was like, no, we're not missing out. But what about you, Robert? What do you think of the end of Bride of Chucky?
I love the end. First of all, the bit that leads into Seed of Chucky, which at the time Don had conceived as Son of Chucky, but a lot of ideas changed and it became Seed, and for very good reasons.
Well, dude, let me just say, dude, I bet you knew right away. Like, I bet Perry, like, it's not clicking with you or me the way it's clicking with Robbie. These are all based on the old classic Universal monster movies.
Yeah.
Until getting deeper into horror, I didn't fucking realize this. Most people would be like, what's Verno?
What was the movie after
Jackass?
Bride of Frankenstein? It was Son of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, Perry, did you know that those were all like Son of Frankenstein, Son of Dracula?
I just started watching the Universal monsters, so I'm just now getting into that part of horror.
I honestly just realized this. I'm like, oh, Seed of Chucky, Son of Chucky. I see what they're fucking doing. I mean, I got Bride of Frankenstein, but to me, it didn't dawn on me that trend continued afterwards. But sorry to interrupt you with my ignorance, but I was just
there's
blown
the Curse
away.
of the Mummy, and then the Hammer horror film. The first Frankenstein film in the States is called Curse of Frankenstein,
Right?
and shit like that. So that's cool. No, I love the bit where you see the birth at the end. That was a nice like stinger at the end to set up the next movie. But what I love about the ending of this film is that Chucky, as we know, is going to turn against Tiffany because Chucky loves himself more than anybody. Right. And one of the themes of this movie is what is love? What is true love? Right. And yeah, Universal owns Peacock, NBC, Sci-Fi, USA, all that stuff. Right. So why is it not on one platform?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Right. Exactly.
Anyway, we can bitch about that another time. But what I love about this movie is how it reflects the ending of Bride of Frankenstein, which I think is the greatest horror sequel of all time. The Bride of Frankenstein. Love that movie. We talked about it on Horror Fest last year. We did a double feature. Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein. Bride of Frankenstein ends with the monster having his mate finally be created. The mate is scared of him. She is just terrified of him. And he realizes, I can't find real love. We belong dead. That's a line that Tiffany says in the fucking movie. She sees this scene when she dies. Right? That's the scene that's playing when Chucky kills her, right? In the opening of the film. And the way they reflect that, she's like, we belong dead. And she's like, you guys go off, you love each other. She never found that love. Why can't I get it off with the right guys? Why can't I find the right person?
Or a good guy.
Or a good guy. And so many people feel that way. I never made it. Why? Because we latch onto somebody who says they love us. And we fucking just like, well, no one else will ever love us the way that this person does. So, we're all sad fucking sacks of human flesh. Let's be honest, right? And love is what makes this whole life worth living. And when you feel like you can't find that love, it ruins you. And sometimes when you realize that you choosing the wrong love and the wrong route to that love has affected other people and is hindering their love, sometimes you got to let that go. And in real life, that doesn't mean just killing yourself and your lover and everybody else, right? In real life, that means like letting go of a bad relationship, letting go of a bad partner, and like learning to love yourself first. Tiffany didn't love herself, right? And that's something that leads us throughout this movie. The ending of this film is perfect. Chucky has, because of that character, to be authentic to that character, he has to betray Tiffany. And to be authentic to the character of Tiffany, she has to finally realize what has happened and end it all. And end Chucky. And allow real love to flourish. And the bit that they don't say from The Bride of Frankenstein is, we belong dead. You go, you live. We belong dead. We're already dead inside. There's no hope for us. There's hope for you, the younger generation, right? Like, you do that. And I think the ending of this movie is rather profound, my friend.
Well, yeah, well said, man. Yeah, well said, dude. That's another one of those things that, like, I don't know. Watching this movie recently, it made me really kind of realize the way that I used to watch movies, which is a much more superficial level of watching them, where I wasn't like a lot like the stuff with the Bride of Chucky, even the way that the line at the end where she says we belong dead, I never related that to Frankenstein saying that earlier in the movie, or just a bunch of things like that I didn't fully appreciate. Even the man being gay, I couldn't even appreciate that. So how much enjoyment could I have possibly been getting out of this fucking movie? But no, well said, my friend. Let's get into then our final grades and our final thoughts, man. Anybody down in the chat, if you have seen Bride of Chucky, which you have, go ahead and slap a letter grade down below. Remember, it's Horror Fest. You want to bump it up a little bit, feel free. It will not hurt anybody. Let's go ahead and start. I'm always pulling this thing, and then I got to find a way to pull that in without you guys seeing it. Well, I'll just talk about it instead. Perry, down there at the bottom, well, it freaked me the fuck out. Don't ever do that again, man. Holy shit. I didn't know you could see me. What's your final thoughts and then your letter grade for Bride of Chucky, brother?
Final thoughts. This is probably the Chucky movie that I've seen the most. It was the first movie I ever put on YouTube that I could put the full reaction on YouTube until Paramount took it down. So screw you guys. But no, I would have to say this is a solid A+. If I was in school, I'm gonna say straight up A+. Chucky rewatchability is just off the charts for me. I love how things just keep leading on and they connect, and then we get this new TV show and it just drags things all together. Beautiful world. Robbie opened my eyes to many things in this movie that just went right over my head. So I thought that was really cool because I was like, all right, I watched a ton of stuff about this movie. I'm pretty well rounded, and it's like, oh, there's something else new. Oh, there's something else new. So super cool. So yeah, solid A+ for me.
Hell yeah, man. I absolutely love it, dude. That's the second A+ here on Blood Splatter Chatter during Horror Fest. I dished out an A+ for The Blob last week. And
Oh shit.
Very proud of it, man. Very proud of it. Perfect film. All right. Where are you at, Robbie, on Bride of Chucky?
I'm ready for your third A+ during Horror Fest this year. I'm going A+ as well, bro. I love this movie. It ages so supremely for me, man. And like, it's not just like that they're referencing Bride of Frankenstein and telling that story. They're inverting it. It's the bride this time that understands what the Frankenstein monster understood in Bride of Frankenstein, right? It's so clever. It's so of its time. And Ronny Yu, just like more than just Ronnie Blue is what he is, right? Because he's able to, at this time, in a post Wes Craven, Kevin Williamson Scream world, he's able to put together something in the MTV 90s generation that works, right? He's just like, it's got this like music video quality to it cinematically, and just like with the way it's cut and edited together. Great music, by the way. They bring back the composer of Child's Play 2. He's replaying that theme, but then you're going to kick us off when we first see Jennifer Tilly kill somebody and she's doing that fucking walk. And by the way, they were like, how do we make the doll walk like you, Jennifer? Perry, you mentioned that. And what her answer was, put her in 5-inch heels. Right. Anybody will walk that way, right?
I gotta try that.
No shit. I'd love to see that. That would be a TikTok that will go through the roof, bro.
I gotta do it.
This movie's got the themes. It's elevating this franchise. I can't think of a single franchise that in movie 4 does a better job than the previous 3. It's not Nightmare. Nightmare's best job was 1 or 3, right? Or 2. Actually, 4 is not near as good as 1, 2, or 3. And I know a lot of people love the final chapter, Friday the 13th. But I'm going to tell you something. The movie's not as good as you remember it. And I don't know. Halloween 4 is pretty dope. Bride of Chucky is amazing.
It's not Bride of Chucky, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to give this one an A+. If it was my show, I'd give it a 5, you digs. Because the more and more I watch this movie, I enjoy it every time even more. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was gonna say, I wonder if she has any audiobooks, because man, dude, the voice, dude, is just.
Wait, do you notice in the commentary that her Tiffany voice, the typical Jennifer Tilly voice we get in film, is different than her voice slightly?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like she's playing it up a little bit. She's kayfabing us a little bit for Tiffany, right? And I love that. I love the performances. I love the direction of the series. This is the best Chucky film. Chucky, Child's Play, one of the best franchises out there. It's a perfect score for me. A+ with extra credit, bruh.
I love it. Now I'm in a difficult situation. I was riding a fucking A. And honestly, part of my, as I was thinking about this movie, like the only criticism that I would have would be Jesse and Jade. But if they did what a writer would say you need to do to spruce those characters up, it might have taken away from the movie. You know what I mean? If there was any more focus put on them, the movie would probably be worse.
It would be boring.
Right.
It would be like Friday the 13th, part 6 or 7 or 8, where you're like, I don't give a shit about this person. Like, show me more of Jason. They do that in this film. They're like, you want more of Chucky?
Right. But they make
There you
him
go.
but they actually make him interesting. Yeah, you don't want to see
Exactly.
too much goddamn Jason, but they did show you too much Chucky. Fuck it. I was gonna go an A, but you guys are all A plus and it's Horror Fest. I'll happily give it
Let's
an A
do
plus.
it, brother.
Chill Out Man gave it an A plus. We had someone else gave it an A plus too. We got Fable with a very respectable and very sober and sane B plus. I appreciate you, brother.
Well,
No,
Fable's just a
A minus.
casual.
He gave it
Right?
an A minus. The B plus was the non-horror grade score. So I respect that. I didn't see I don't know if Link graded it or not. Link gave it an A plus. Fuck it, I'll just make that up.
No, Link gave it a he's up there. He gave it a rating.
I might have missed it, brother.
Because he said he was being a rebel.
Right. I love that Fable is he's a lover of one. Let me ask you guys a random fucking question. This
Steph,
is something.
my bad, real quick. Steph
Okay.
says I'll go a solid B plus just to be a rebel. He says that up there.
Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Steph. B plus from Steph. Let me ask you guys, and you guys in the chat. I'm curious your answer to this. Perry, I know you're a bigger Chucky fan, so I think the answer is going to be obvious, but I'll start with you. I feel like most people, and I've heard other people say this, if they were like, who's the funniest of the slashers? Most people say Freddy. And Freddy's he's funny, but I don't, in my opinion, Chucky's way fucking funnier. Like Freddy's way cornier with his funny lines, and almost none of them are as like relatable and like actually still funny in 2023. So I'll start with you, Perry. Who's funnier, Chucky or Freddy?
I've shit on Freddy so many times. Like there's like movies I do not like. So every day, Chucky. Hands down, much funnier. Yeah.
Robbie.
This may be the first time I openly admit this, first time I realize this openly, but like I would have always said Freddy. But now I realize, especially because of Scary Terry and Rick and Morty, like the only funny thing about Freddy was that he said bitch back in the 80s, right? And like what's Freddy's big gag in the first movie? He's got googly arms, man. Ooh, look at my stretchy arms, right? Dude. Chucky is actually really funny. That moment where he goes, "You thought I was gonna marry you?" Like it's so freaking funny, and the whole just everything. But he's still able to be lethal and scary. And dude, if you think Chucky's funny in this one, watch Chucky season 1. Yeah. Oh my god, he's so fucking hilarious.
That's great. Pussy.
No, I agree, man. He like to me, he's fucking hilarious. And Freddy's great. I absolutely love Freddy to death. But yeah, Chucky, when it comes just down to being who's funnier, Chucky's funnier. When it comes down to who's been scarier throughout the course of their horror careers, Freddy's a little scarier, but you don't have to worry about him putting a knife up your ass. As we learned on the last episode with Perry, is a major fear and something that I never thought about until Perry brought it up.
Bro, right now we're all three sitting down.
Yep, my butt cheeks are clenched.
All right, everybody out in the chat, I super appreciate all you guys. Fable, Steph, Chill Out Man. Oh boy. Two Gun, pew, pew, Pedro up in this bitch. Rogue Collecting. President Obama stopped by for a minute. I really appreciate you, as always, sir. John Spilio Papalatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopatopat Robbie, I think you know her. Eric was up in here. Thank you for being here. Nick,
I know everybody in this
Nick,
chat.
you sexy son of a bitch. Right. And I would know none of these people if it wasn't for you. So thank you for being here, Robbie. Sal, I think I mentioned you earlier, but you are worth it to mention once again. And Bizarro Fett, thank you for being here as well. So again, next week or this Saturday, dun dun dun, over on Dylan's Horror Show. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Robbie tells me I'm wrong, and he's probably right because I haven't seen the movie he's talking about. But I'll say the scariest movie for Horror Fest 2023, Sinister. Robbie, I have a feeling you didn't think it was as scary as I thought it was.
Well, I haven't watched it yet. I'm actually going to watch it right after this show.
Perfect.
And I will be on Dylan's show. I'll be in Memphis, at the Memphis Comic Expo. By the way, if you're at Memphis and you see me, do not hesitate to like say what's up. Get a selfie with me. That just makes my fucking day, y'all. Everybody's like, oh, I didn't want to meet. I saw you at this con, but I don't. No, please do. It makes my day. It makes me feel very important.
Ask to see his iconic tits.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be popping in for a little bit on Dylan's Horror Show because I've never seen this movie. Two Gun recommends it. I'm about to watch this. So I've never seen this movie, so I don't know if this is creepier,
I'm
more
so scared.
legitimately than Ju-on.
Ju-on.
But Ju-on is. Fable's the one that said that's the creepiest movie of Horror Fest, and I think he might be right.
He's
bro.
probably right. I've never seen it, so I really can't speak on it.
I'm gonna
But
watch this movie and be like, Ju-on did it better.
I'll say this: I remember thinking this movie was freaky. Like, if we're scrolling and we go past the thumbnail for this movie, my fiance would be like, "Keep going, motherfucker!" Like, we ain't watching that again. Like, it freaked her out, like big time. She thinks it's one of the scariest movies.
All I
she's
know
ever
is
seen.
it's done by the dude who did the Black Phone and Doctor Strange, and I just went. That sounds boring.
Right. This is better. I think this is better personally.
Okay.
But it's probably not better than The Brood, which we will be talking about on Pop Culture Philosophers on Monday night. I'll be there. Fable will be there. And I think
Steph's going to be
will
there,
be
bro.
there.
Dude,
There's
I think it's the
Bennett.
first time for a lot of people, man, including Brooks and Jelani. So I'm very excited.
Hell yeah. I think, yeah, as you said, me and you are the only ones that have seen this. And my first time seeing it was like, just like 90% of the movies that I talk about was about 5 or 6 months ago. So I'm fairly new to it too. So
look at your chat. Ju-on thinks, my bad. I said, look at your chat. Ju-on thinks that Ju-on's creepy, but everybody thinks Ju-on is definitely creepy, man. It's so freaky, man.
I'll definitely be checking that out. I've been trying to watch all the movies that you've been doing. Actually, just catching up. I watched Elvira. I'm a little bit behind. I watched Elvira.
Hell yeah. By the way, the last movie that genuinely creeped me out so much to give me nightmares was Videodrome, a David Cronenberg film, just like The Brood. So there you go.
Which is
Videodrome gave me nightmares for like a week after I watched it last year, bro. And I don't know why. It was weird, sexual, fucking fleshy dreams that fucking fucked me up, dude.
Well, clip that. All right. And then next Thursday here on Blood Splatter Chatter, I'm going to be joined by Nick from Comic Culture and my man Steph down there in the chat to talk about A Quiet Place 2. We had the same crew here talking the first one a handful of months ago, or a few months ago. So that is going to be a fantastic time. So you guys have anything you want to tell the people about coming up? As I said, the link to these guys' socials down in the description below. Perry, you have anything specific that you want to tell the people about?
I'm going to be dropping a bunch of movie content, so that should be fun. I haven't done any edited videos in a long time related to movies, so I've been cooking them up. So they'll be going out starting October 1st. So excited for that.
Yeah. Sounds delicious. What about you, Robbie?
Well, first of all, I'm just so pumped for Perry's scary movies. Scary Perry. I'm ready for this, man. I'm like so ready to see. Perry's reactions to movies are so damn authentic. I remember back in the day, me and Bueller used to give him shit like, oh, you never saw Iron Man. Oh, you never saw Avengers. Oh, you never saw Rambo. No, the more I watch Perry, and the more I get to know him, and the more I love Perry. No, Perry's being authentic as fuck.
You've never seen anything.
Like, he's so authentic when he's like, that chick's got a dick. Like, it just cracks me up, man. Like, it just cracks me up. But I'm gonna give you like the shortest short you got with the hottest take. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
I don't give a shit what the normies say. Quiet Place 2 is way better than Quiet Place 1.
What? I've only seen the first one.
Clipped. I think they're both fucking great, but I think I don't know if it's way better, but I agree with you. I think it's better. I think it's better.
Quiet Place 1 puts me to sleep.
Really?
Quiet Place 2 had me on the edge of my seat. Shit, that shit rhymes, bro. Hold on, let me do this again.
Double clip.
Quiet Place. All right, here we go. Quiet Place 1 puts me to sleep. Quiet Place 2 puts me on the edge of my seat.
Click and live. Peace, bitches.
And if you're at Memphis and you see me, holler. PCP movie night, The Brood. Watch that movie. It's on Max. It's going to change your life. You'll never want to have kids.
Well said. All right, perfect, man. Everybody in the chat, I super appreciate you. Everybody watching on the rerun, I appreciate you equally, and we'll see you next time.